In this video, I'm going to build a white girl table, as I like to call it. And it's a table that any white girl in your life will just love to have. And I know that because I made it for a white girl, and the white girl in my life loved it. Anyway, I get the boards organized in the way that they'll go when I glue them together, and then I mark them in order for the glue up with arrows so that I don't get confused later on when I'm gluing things together. And then I write up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down across every seam. Here I am sending an upside through the table saw. So I cut that side with the board facing up, move the fence over just a hair, and then I cut the downside. So I take the side I marked down and place it face down on the table side and run it through. And this is going to make the seams between each board marry up perfectly. And they wouldn't otherwise because the table saw blade doesn't cut at exactly 9 degrees. I plane every single board. I just take off a 1/16 total so that I know that they're all even. And then bring it over. I mark slots I mark where the biscuit joints are going to go. And I like to use biscuit joints because it helps during the glue up, which is this process. So smear the glue around with your trusty finger, put the biscuits in, and then you're going to put some down pressure while you're clamping so that the boards are flat against the bottom of the clamp. And then you put that other clamp on the end to make sure that the edges are even with each other. And then I don't show this whole process, just doing it once. I like to clean up the glue in between each board. Oh, and also very important, I glue the boards up one at a time, and you can do it all at the same time, but you get a way better result when you do it one at a time. So glue them one at a time, let it dry, come back to it. Here I am making a circle cutting jig because the client for this table wanted a big round ends. I had a piece of acrylic laying around, and you see that's what I'm doing here. I'm cutting the holes so the router will attach to this jig. And my radius for the ends of my table is half of 39. So it was like 19 and a half. And you're going to see in just a minute, you go from the edge of your blade and you mark at 19 and a half. And put that in the center and then drill a hole. Now you've got a good circle cutting jig. So attach that like that, put the router in, and then I turned the camera off on accident. So you're going to see me cut that. But imagine that I cut it. Then I'm marking that halfway point, and I'm going to cut this half circle out so that I have a template. Here I am. I cut the panel to length, and I mark where that goes so I can come back to it. And I use double-sided tape to attach it to the panel. And it just peels off so nice. You just love it. Put that guy on there, and then I use a router with a top-bearing flush trim bit to cut a little groove in. And then I come back with the jigsaw and cut inside the groove. And maybe that's an extra step, but I don't know. I just like to do it this way. And I take very shallow passes when I cut things like this, and that helps reduce tear out. And then if there is tear out, it's just like a little bit, and you can generally hide it. So take that off, and next I want to build this table up so it's thicker. It's just, I use 4/4 wood, which is 3/4 of an inch thick, thereabouts, but I don't want a 3/4 inch thick table because that would look dumb. But I also don't want to use more material than I have to. So I do this method where I glue a little perimeter around the outside of the underside of the table. And those are my offcuts from the panel cut. So I cut the panel down a little bit and I save those pieces so I could create these rails. And I glue that in and clamp everything down and let it dry. And then go to the other side and do the exact same thing over again. And here's at the end. I just use the offcut from the router and slide it forward, and that gets you like a really nice matchup when you're doing this. This is a good way to make a thicker looking table with less material. So it's about half the cost in material to do it this way. Here I go, trimming that up. So cut it off with the jigsaw, and then I'm gonna come back with the router and a flush trim cut bit and just smooth it out and make everything nice and easy and perfect. Look at that. And then I wanted to give everything a round over for my edge profile. So I do it on the bottom, and then I flip the table and do it on the top. I was going to show how to build these legs, but I forgot to turn the camera on as I was going through it at an integral part. So I have to skip that. But I used half lap joints to attach the legs together with that middle section that you saw. And I attached the legs with bolts and these little metal inserts. And then you want to make sure that the holes on your plates are a little bit bigger than the bolts. That way everything can move around a little bit when the wood shifts during seasonal changes. And I got that guy on its feet, looking pretty good. Next thing to do is sand and sand and sand some more. If you're gonna get into woodworking, you better love sanding because you spend so much time sanding. And after that, you wanna get it prepped for finish. And I always give everything a rub down with mineral spirits. And then after that, I take a dry rag and I wipe all the dust off of it until that rag is clean. For this one, I'm gonna use teak oil in combination with lacquer. And the teak oil is to seal everything up. If you don't do that, then the wood will just like drink up all the lacquer and you'll have to put on like 15 coats of it. But with the teak oil, you can get nice quick coats of lacquer on there. I think I did 3 or 4 coats of lacquer. And that's a table. That's how I built this nice white girl table. Thanks for watching. The end.